Mix 106 movie critic Willie Waffle sees all the movies so that you don't have to waste your money on movies. This week, we've got 4 of them to choose from. I'm guessing one of them is going to be pretty good just because it's an Oscar-nominated movie. American Sniper is out this week. Also, something for the kids with Paddington. We've got Chris Hemsworth in Blackhat, and Kevin Hart stars in The Wedding Ringer.
If your children are seeing commercials for The Wedding Ringer and they recognize the voice of Josh Gad, the star, as being the voice of Olaf from Frozen, for God's sakes, do not let your children see The Wedding Ringer.
I've only seen Frozen once, but I did not make that connection.
Your child will.
Yeah, that's true. Because the child has seen it 57 times.
That's right. And the movie's a little too R-rated for them. Heck, it was almost too R-rated for me.
Is it R-rated too good for you, or R-rated too dirty and too much over the top for you?
I thought the movie was actually better when it wasn't trying to prove that it was R-rated.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
they're going too far.
Yeah, they're trying too hard. You know, it's like the guy on the date who's trying to impress you with everything that he's done. You're like, dude, you're just kind of full of yourself.
It makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah. And so The Wedding Ringer, I think, is a very funny movie that just needs to kind of appreciate what it is. And so you've got Kevin Hart. He plays this guy who is hired by awkward dudes who are getting married, who don't have a best friend who can be the best man. And now Josh Gad has stepped into his life, and he needs more help than we've ever realized before. And the two of them embark to try to fool Josh Gad's fiancée into thinking they're best buddies. And maybe along the way, they will become best buddies.
So the guy who has no friends can get Kelly Cuoco to marry him?
Yeah, that was a little bit hard to swallow as well.
Okay. He's really funny.
No, he's a good dancer. Remember in the preview that you've seen 8,000 times? That's how he gets her. Okay, so what do you give it?
You know, I'm going to say 2.5 waffles. I think that, you've got Kevin Hart, I think, playing a role that's really awesome for him. He's not the silly clown in this movie. He's really much more of kind of the maestro of the circus, the more confident, more leading guy, and I think that was hilarious to watch. I think he's got great chemistry with Josh Gad. I think the two of them are fun buddies. I think, it's when it tries to become a formula movie. When it's trying to impose sweetness, it fails. When it's trying to be too R-rated, it fails. When it's trying to have this big twist at the end, it fails. But I'd say 2.5 waffles.
Now, your prediction, is Kevin Hart going to have his 5th #1 movie in a row?
No. I don't think so.
Look what else is coming out this weekend.
Well, I know, but God, he's been like printing money. It's like you put Kevin Hart in a movie lately, and it's #1.
Well, and the thing is, I think it would normally have been #1 if it wasn't for the growing groundswell of American Sniper.
Well, just getting an Oscar nod now, yeah, of course. So let's talk American Sniper and Chris Kyle.
Yeah, just a fantastic movie. Fantastic movie. I can't say enough about just how much this is. It's one of these movies about heroes in the military that needs to be made more often. So you've got Bradley Cooper and the true story of Chris Kyle, for lack of a better term, the most prolific sniper in American history, American military history. And we are watching kind of the impact of his job and his life going back and forth from the war zone back home to the war zone back home, and the impact it's having on him, the impact it's having on his family, and ultimately how he has to try to deal with all of it.
How's Sienna Miller?
Sienna Miller is the unsung hero of this movie.
Is she? Okay.
Yeah, she's playing Chris Kyle's wife, and she is representing all of those military wives, all those military families who are struggling with the fear of what's going on overseas, the danger that their loved ones face, the impact all that has on their loved ones, and then in turn the impact it has on their families. And I thought Sienna Miller is very underrated in this movie.
So what do you give it?
I'm going 3.5 waffles. I think it's fantastic.
All right. And Paddington Bear. This is the one I'm excited about.
I know, yeah, and I will admit, I was very, very scared of this movie.
Why?
Okay, because it just looked like they were going to ruin Paddington Bear, and they were going to have him involved in a whole bunch of just really gross out, stupid things. And it turns out that's only in the trailer. And the movie itself is actually so much more charming and so much nicer and cuter and fun. And we see the story of Paddington leaving Peru and finding his way to England, being adopted by this nice British family. And it turns out maybe they need him as much as he needs them. And then they throw in a whole story about this evil taxidermist that's chasing after Paddington. And that might be hard to explain to some kids. But I'm going to say 3 waffles.
Was I supposed to know as a kid that Paddington was British?
Well, I think that, popular in Britain, came from Britain. So it was always kind of a British thing that I think expanded to America.
Oh, because to me, he didn't have a British accent. But then when I saw the preview, I'm like, all right, I'll go with this.
And they made this because of the success of Ted, didn't they?
Well, yeah, I think so. In a lot of ways, Paddington is the Charlie Brown of Britain. How about I put it that way?
All right.
Yeah.
All right, one final movie.
That would be Chris Hemsworth as Blackhat. Yes, he has dropped his long, blonde, flowing Thor hair to play a cyber hacker, a dude in jail, and the authorities need him because they think he can stop a cyber terrorist. And that means there's going to be a lot of chase scenes. And there's going to be a lot of people typing on computers. And they're going to talk about a whole bunch of techie stuff that flies over my head. But there's going to be some cool action because it's directed by Michael Mann, and that dude knows how to blow stuff up. So, how about 2 waffles?
2 waffles?
That's
wow.
it? The action wasn't enough for you?
It's okay. I mean, the story's kind of blah, and you kind of know where it's going to go. But Chris Hemsworth is very engaging and very charming, and he's another guy. I think, if he didn't hit it big as Thor, I think we'd think more highly of him as an actor.
Still, that's actually pretty good for this weekend. I mean, we're in January, and you just had 4 great movies.
Yeah, I know, really. Yeah, I feel like I should just embrace this week because it may be a long time before I feel this good about movies again.
What's next week?
Johnny Depp in Mordecai.
I know, I'm with you. I think it looks so bad.
See, I think it looks good, just that quirky thing.
Ugh.
I hope so. But you know what? Sometimes you can just smell it coming.
Hey, if anybody can pull off quirky, it's Johnny Depp.
That's true. That's his trademark.
All right, we'll talk to you next week, Willie.
All right, we'll talk to you then.